Hi, I'm here to talk about Life Coach Training Institute. I took the certification class last year and it was awesome. I learned so much and I was able to create my own life coaching business, SharonLifeCoach.com. And I got some clients and I got a website and I got some business cards and things are going along pretty good. And then I saw the boot camp that came up, I don't know, it was about four weeks ago with Paul. I love Paul. He does the Motivation Mondays and I always try to tune into the video, and I've just learned so much. And I felt like my life coaching business needed a little jump start, so to speak. And so I went on the boot camp and I just loved it. I thought it was great. I highly recommend Paul's program for anybody that's interested in being a life coach, and also anybody that may have a life coaching business that just needs a little jump start. Okay, so thank you, Paul. Take care.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to Mentor Monday. Mentor Monday is your weekly microdose of... It would actually help if I turned on the microphone, right? Welcome to Mentor Monday. Mentor Monday is your weekly microdose of encouragement, inspiration, and miracle grow on your potential as a coach. As you're making it into the room, what's always really huge and important to us is actually to relate to you. And one of the things that's true about me right now is I'm in an unair-conditioned studio in California, and it's one of those days that's gotten to be about 80 degrees. We don't run the AC during that time because we don't want to have a bunch of background noise and everything else. So it means, you know what? I'm sweating it out for you in every way that we can to help you grow as a coach and also to develop your coaching practice. Do us a huge favor and say hello to us. Just jump in the chat really quick. There's Aaron, who's made it into the room. He's joining us from Arizona, the desert in Arizona. So maybe I shouldn't be complaining, should I, Aaron? Nina says signed up for boot camp this weekend. So excited. Way to go. Yes, I'll talk a little bit more about boot camp in a little bit. And we've got so many amazing testimonials of the coaches who have gone through boot camp over the last year. And I'm so appreciative of that. LaShonda, who's joining us from Queens, New York City. Awesome. Lumine, congratulations. Well, thank you. Okay. Actually, that's not for me. That's for somebody else, isn't it? Who else do I need to say hello to? Renee, who's joining us from my old stomping grounds, Hammond, Louisiana. Welcome. So as you're jumping into the room, make sure that you say hello to everyone. Illuminate says, I've signed up for Jumpstart. Welcome. Thank you so much. So over the last few weeks, where we have been focused during this time is we've been focusing on this series called Bad Money Beliefs That Keep You Broke. And one of the things that has been very encouraging to me is to hear from so many of you who have been really helped by this series. And I'll also say again, if this series has been helpful for you, or one of the best things that you can do is actually share it with other people. So share it. Also, do me a huge favor, even take a moment right now, like this post or comment. That just tells Facebook that we're doing a good job. It tells YouTube that we're doing a good job, because we want to make those connections and we want to serve as many people as we possibly can. So this week, where we find ourselves is actually talking about the bad money belief, which is, I can't afford to start a coaching practice. Now, some people probably think that that's not actually a bad money belief. I'm going to show you why it is in just a moment. But a lot of people just kind of think, well, I'm just practically speaking. I'm speaking out of the facts of what my bank account looks like right now, or the fact that I've never started a business before, or maybe I've started something before, but I haven't been that successful or something like that. No, a lot of times we have some of the things that we think or believe, and we think that we actually have reality on our side. Do we have an experience to validate what we actually think or believe? But I'm going to confront those things today, and I'm excited to help you with that. Let me tell you, for those of you who have never been in this series, I want to help you actually process what a bad money belief is and how we actually tackle it. Let me switch colors to red. Let's say that you have your goal over here, right? So here's your goal, your little target that you are going after, this thing that you want after your life, in your life. My wife told me this week, she was like, your handwriting has gotten worse and worse. She told me writing, and she was like, that does not even look like your handwriting, and I can't even read it. I was actually at a graduation party, and what I wrote there, I was like, yeah, it really has. So I'm going to try to slow down and improve on that even as we're here. So what we have here is essentially, if you can think of a limiting belief, and this is what makes a belief bad. What makes a belief bad is whether or not it takes away your resources, whether or not it actually limits you. It puts a lid on you. It puts a ceiling on your potential. That's what makes something a bad belief, is that if it renders you powerless in some kind of a way. And so what we have then is we have this thing that we want, but the limiting belief is the thing that actually keeps us from being able to go after it. And what I find, especially with money beliefs, is that, for one, with money beliefs, is that if you want to trigger somebody, like the quickest way that you can trigger someone, the quickest way that you can get an emotional reaction out of people is not talking about politics or any of those other things. Talk to somebody about money. And pretty much no one has a non-reaction to money. There's typically going to be an emotional reaction to it, positive or negative. In most cases, it's negative. And if it's negative, I can guarantee you there's some beliefs that have actually formed that are creating the response that someone has. So you can imagine that if somebody has a negative emotion that's presenting itself, that they're going to have a cycle. And in this cycle, even if somebody doesn't know that they're actually confronting or coming against a limiting belief, they might start with a lot of promise. They might start with a lot of excitement. They might start off in a frenzy with anything that they're trying to do. But they'll usually find out, and I usually see the cycles hit around like 90 days. They usually find around this 90-day mark that they're going to come up against this limiting belief, and you know what's going to end up? It's going to end up stopping them right there in their tracks. And so they're not actually going to function through it. So the only way that we can do that, the only way we can get somebody to their goal is to take a wrecking ball towards this limiting belief. And the way that we take the wrecking ball is really simple. It's not complicated. It's to take a wrecking ball of doubt, and when we start leveling the limiting belief, because really, once you start thinking about whatever problem, whatever struggle, whatever is in the way, once we can introduce doubt to the situation, it takes the credibility away from that belief system. And then we challenge, we're not just challenging the belief system, but we're actually going to form a new one so that once this thing is out of the way, you can actually achieve your goal. Listen, if the limiting belief is present there when it comes to making money, your ability to make money, whether it's in your abilities or whatever it is, if you don't confront it, it's only a matter of time before that belief starts showing up and it starts sabotaging you. This is where self-sabotage actually comes from. That people will have belief systems that are functioning in the background. Maybe it's not right in front of them, but they will rear their head and it will shut you down time and time again. So what we want to do really quickly is that we want to look at this belief system, and I'm throwing it on the whiteboard. And for those of you who don't know this, our whiteboard's name is Solomon. Just so you know, I don't always say welcome Solomon or anything else, but that's what the name of our whiteboard is. So Solomon is here, okay? Solomon's here is going to help us today, okay? So a lot of times when you see this, there's two words that really stick out to me when I look at this statement. I can't afford to start a coaching practice. What are the two words that stick out to you when you look at this? Because this is going to be really important for some of you who are coaches, that you're going to be running against these things, because words actually matter. One of those words right here is this word afford. And afford doesn't actually scare me. It's not, matter of fact, the interesting thing about something being able to afford something is, the reality behind it is that affordability is not actually anyone's problem. Affordability is never actually the problem. There's something else that's actually underlying. Just like I would say is that how to is never a problem. And so a lot of times people like to act like affordability is the problem when it's really not the problem. You know what the problem is? I'll go ahead and highlight it in red. The problem right here is in this word can't. And you might have heard me say before, is that when people say can't, it immediately takes them out of play. It completely takes somebody out of the game whenever they say can't. Because the interesting thing about when someone says, I can't do something, when they say this, it absolves their responsibility to get involved in whatever the situation is. Whatever that there's something in front of them when they say, oh, well, I can't do that. Well, what are they essentially doing? They are dismissing the opportunity. They are dismissing the responsibility, or they're dismissing the possibilities in their life. Now, I am all about the fact that people should be empowered to say no anytime they want to say no. If you really don't want to do something, you can say no to it. But the problem is that why we're sitting here talking is because you actually do want something in your life. When you're talking to your clients, they actually do want something in their life, right? I mean, it's the only reason why you would be talking is that they actually want something. So if you want something, but you say you can't do something, well, there's a couple of different possibilities that's going on. One is I don't believe in the powerlessness of people. It's very easy for people to say, I can't do something, as though they don't have control over their life. You know, it's like, oh, I can't do this because I've got to do this. It's kind of like, well, I can't do that because I've got to work this job and I've got to work 40 hours a week to it. And it's kind of like, well, who's making the choices over your life? At the end of the day, the job that people hate, the job that they are stressing over and putting so much time and effort into is somebody else's dream in many cases. A lot of times it's stuff that we actually tolerate, but we are putting so much effort. And you know what that tells me? That tells me that that person has incredible perseverance and commitment. They have incredible drive to take on the responsibility and ownership for somebody else's business that is not really rewarding them at the end of the day because they don't really enjoy what they're doing. It tells me that they can take just a little bit of that resilience, a little bit of that perseverance, and actually put it towards something. But can't does this incredible thing for us. It gives us a great excuse. It allows us to take ourselves out of the game. But can't actually does something really gnarly to us as well. And for those of you who don't know what gnarly means a lot of things in California. Gnarly can mean something great, and it can also mean something really bad. And I'm saying that it's doing something really bad for people. Here's the reason why. This right here is the human brain. Yes, it's a great little picture of a brain. And what we have somewhere, it's about, let me see if I can get a color right here, somewhere about right here, is there's a little system that actually functions inside of your brain. And that system is called the RAS. And if I actually wrote it out for you, and I'll try to do it in a way that you can actually read, it's called the reticular activating system. Now, what is the role of the reticular activating system? I'm so glad that you asked that question. We talk about this system in advanced skills training, but I'm going to give you this idea in a nutshell. The reticular activating system has a way of when someone has decided, when someone has truly made a decision, and we know when someone has truly made a decision, they've actually made a decision in their heart. This is not when somebody says, I want something. This is when somebody has actually decided to get something. And when they say that they want something, whatever that one is, let's say that that is what the goal is over here, that they're saying, I want this. The interesting thing about the goal, the important thing is not the how-to. That's why when somebody says, I can't afford to do something, I can't do something, or I don't know how to do something, whatever, how-to is never the issue. It's never going to be the issue for your client. It's actually an issue of whether or not somebody actually thinks and they choose, because that's what actually determines. So when someone makes a decision in their heart, one of the things that actually happens, and this is what the reticular activating system does, is it creates like a laser focus to get you what you want. So what does the RAF do? Well, here's a great example. RAF, let's say that you decide that you want a particular car. You're like, hey, I just saw this Volkswagen Beetle, and I'm just pulling whatever out of here, okay? I want this Volkswagen Beetle. I want the new, 2021 Beetle or whatever. And all of a sudden, though, once you decide, like, I really like the way that thing looks. Like, I like it. And here's what happens: is that when it might appear to you as something that you like, but the interesting thing is that once you actually decide in your heart, here's what your reticular activating system does. It actually does an incredible job of filtering. It has this incredible filtering mechanism, because some people will be like, Send this out to the universe and then it'll come back to you. Well, I understand that from that perspective, but actually science tells us what is actually happening is that your brain is very, very effective at filtering things out through the system. And so what it does is that it actually hones you in and it creates a laser focus towards the thing that you actually want. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen a laser before, but what lasers are light. Right now in the room, there's a lot of light. And I'm suffering at about 80 degrees in here because there's a lot of light going on and beaming on me right now. But the interesting thing about the light is that it's diffused. And as long as something is kind of diffused, it can't really hurt you, right? Except for make the room a little bit hotter, right? But if I was able to take light and concentrate it into a laser beam, I could literally put it through the concrete that I'm standing on right now. I can actually take that laser and I can actually cut through metal. Depending on the intensity of the laser, I can actually focus light and actually cut things and cut a path for where you want to go. This is what happens when you actually make a decision in your heart. Whatever your belief system is, it doesn't matter what the barrier is, it will actually cut through the barrier every time. So the RAS works like a filter, but also like a laser, because here's what it does. It doesn't matter what's in the way, because the RAS is not even considering what's in the way, it's considering all of the possibilities. So let's say that you want that Volkswagen Beetle. Here's what ends up happening. The filter mechanism happens like this. I drive down the street, and where do I see? A Volkswagen Beetle 2021. I go to the parking lot at Walmart, and I go to pull in, and what do you know? I'm pulling in right next to a Volkswagen Beetle. I'm on the freeway, and I look to the left of me, and somebody's passing me in a Volkswagen Beetle. I stop at a stoplight, and I look in the rearview mirror, and what's behind me? A Volkswagen Beetle. Then I start seeing ads for Volkswagen Beetles. It's not just simply because you did a search and Facebook's giving it to you, and you turn on the radio and there's an ad, and what are all of the things that are happening? It's not the universe trying to speak to you as much as it is that you have made a decision in your heart, and your RAS is thinking, what can I do to make this possible for this individual? And it may actually be that you don't have money to buy a Volkswagen Beetle. But you know what ends up happening? Is that you find out that there's probably 50 to 100 different ways for you to get the thing that you want. There's special financing, there are deals, there's trade-ins. And you know what? You know what doesn't happen? What doesn't happen is when your heart actually makes a decision, you don't say, man, I can't afford that. Something actually shifts once you actually make the decision towards something. Now, if I've got a bad belief that's telling me something like, I can't afford to start a coaching practice, you know what happens with that what happens with the RAS, with your bad money belief? You know what happens? Is that it also retrieves and gets what you don't want. So when somebody says, I can't afford something, you know what you're going to see? You're going to see endless impossibilities all over the place. You're going to look at your current situation. You're going to look at your past. You're going to look at what other people are saying to you. And it's amazing how you won't move forward because all you can see is closed doors and no potential for anything to possibly happen to you. Listen, if you wanted to become a six-figure coach or you want to become a millionaire over the next year, there are about 1 million different ways that you can actually do that currently right now. More possibilities, more options right now than there has ever been in the history of human beings. But if you believe that you can't do something, you know what? The RAS is going to confirm your belief every time. It is going to filter out all of the possibilities. As a matter of fact, I could probably sit down with you because I'll tell you, how to doesn't matter. If I sat down with you of 10 different options in 10 different ways that you could become a six-figure coach over the next year, you know what's going to happen? You won't even actually be able to receive it because the belief, you will be so entrenched into the belief that you can't even consider the possibilities of other things that are going on. So that's how these things start to function, which means that I have got to shift my beliefs towards something that actually helps me get what I want in my life. And I'm going to show you how to do it, and it's really, really simple in how we do that. Here's how you do it. See this word right here? I can't afford to start a coaching practice. All we've got to do is that we've got to change this part right now. And this is how you change it. You change it to, how can I start a coaching practice? See, it's all about, even as subtle as this is, just the subtlety of the language that we use. When I say, how can I, now I can start allowing the RAS to actually start working for me. Because if I say I can't, you know what that means? Is that I've already created a structure, I've put it in place where there are zero possibilities. But if I say, how can I, then now I suddenly have opened myself to any of the ways that could possibly build a coaching practice for me or anything that I want in life. Listen, the result that you have in life is actually based on the decisions and the choices that you are making currently. Like right now, those decisions that you're making actually are bearing fruit. But let me show you one more thing about how RAS can actually work for you. And this is how I know that it's tried and true and that it actually works, okay? So if I told you that you can make $100,000 in the next year starting a coaching practice, the vast majority of you would probably say, no, that's not even in the realm of possibility for me. But let's say that I was your doctor. You had some kind of weird thing that was going on in your life. Like you were just like, you had some kind of weird pain or whatever. You couldn't figure out what it was. And so I was your doctor and I was your specialist, and you went in and we ran all these tests, and then you come in and are like, listen, I've got some really bad news for you, but I've also got some good news. Bad news is that the condition that you have is guaranteed 100% chance it's going to kill you in the next 12 months. Yeah, I'm not really a compassionate doctor, Anna, but anyway, hey, guaranteed you're going to die of this condition in the next 12 months if you don't do. And here's the other thing, is that there is only one treatment that they've come up with here in the last 5 years, because this was before an untreatable illness. But there's a 100% chance if you get this treatment, you're going to live. You're not only, but I mean, there's a 100% chance that if you get this treatment, that you're going to live. The problem is that it's not covered under your insurance. It's not covered under anybody's insurance, and you're going to have to come up with $250,000, and you need to get this treatment within the next 6 months. Otherwise, you're going to pass. Now, here's what's going to happen. The average person who's sitting in there is not going to be like, you know what, I can't afford to get treatment. You know, it just doesn't fit in the budget right now. So I guess I'm just going to go home and die. No, you're not going to do that. You know what you're going to do? You're going to walk out of there. You're going to cry. You're going to talk to your family. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be angry, and you're going to be scared for a couple of days. And then there's going to be something that kicks in you. And you know what it is? It's going to be this right here. It's going to be, you are going to make a decision, because you're going to say, no, that's not how I'm going to go out in my life right now. I have too much to live for. I have too much that I have not accomplished. There's too much that I have not done in my life. And you know what you're going to do? Is that you're going to make a heart decision. And you know what your heart decision is going to be for? It's going to be for life. And in this situation, life is represented only by money. It's just money. It's $250,000. I've never had you might say, I've never had $250,000 in my hands at any given time. You might say, I haven't made $250,000 in 20 years of work or something like that. But you know what's going to happen is that when you make a heart decision about something, because you have conviction that I am supposed to live and that I am not done here and I have a purpose and there's something that I'm here to live for, it is worth it. And you know what ends up happening is that when you make a decision that this is going to be suddenly in the realm of possibility and I go after it, you know what? All of the resources, once you make a decision, it's crazy amount of the amount of resources that are going to come your way. There might be discount programs. There might be people who show up in your life and give you $10,000 that you've never met before in your life. You might run a GoFundMe. and you might get $25,000 in the next 24 hours. You might go out and just meet people. You know, and here's what's going to be true, is that once this decision is made, you're going to meet some of the most generous people that you ever have even dreamed that existed on the planet. That's one thing that's certain. And then when 6 months later, you have the cash in hand, you get the treatment, and now you live into the life. See, the money didn't hit 6 months later. The money actually hit right now when you made a choice, when it was worth it, when the value of your life far exceeded whatever cost you were willing to pay, whatever step that you were willing to take. When the decision made, this system kicked in and it helped you get what you actually want. Now, the thing is that I've seen these stories way too many times for people who had health conditions. The way that they got healthy, the way that listen, people have raised money like this and have done things like this with a fraction of the chance to live. People do this with a 20% chance to live, and they somehow find resources and resolve to do it because it's worth the shot, right? What am I saying? Is that, hey, you know what? Your life needs to be serious business for you. Sometimes it's when people are dying, when we're on our deathbed and everything else, it suddenly starts to teach us to live. Now, we need to learn to live right now. With whatever degree of health that you have in your life right now, you need to say yes to things. When you say yes is when the resources, and listen, again, there are a billion ways that you can live the kind of life that you want to live. There are a billion how-tos. The how-to is not your problem. The problem is that you've been taking yourself out of the game. And it starts to ask the question of how can I, so that I can start reorienting my heart to actually having something. Everything's in the realm of possibility for you. It really is, except if you don't believe that it's possible to be in the realm of possibility, you will never go after it. But if you can take something as simple as just to start asking, how can I? Listen, this thing needs to be as serious as your life, because it is. And every day that you tolerate something that is below your potential, below the level, you live with yourself, with your own level of dissatisfaction every day. But you're choosing that. And I'm urging you, man, ratchet up what you believe your value and worth on this planet is. Because let me say, whatever number you come up to, like if you can put a dollar amount on what your value and worth is on this planet, then you probably need to increase it by at least 10 to 100 times, right? So that you can start coming in. And once you believe in those kinds of things, then you will actually pursue it. Listen, it's waiting on you, but it's waiting on decisive action. It's actually waiting on a choice from you, even right now. I'm going to pay the bills really quickly, and I want to see what people have to say. And thanks so much for sticking around. Hey, this weekend is our boot camp. For those of you who have never done boot camp, if you have done boot camp, say, yes, I've done boot camp. It was amazing. You know, go ahead and put that on there. This weekend, we started doing boot camps about a year ago. For so long, we just did, just completely on demand, self-paced education, which is great. But we also found that people had a lot of value from actually being able to interact with me, interact with our team, and being able to grow from one another. And so our boot camp is this weekend. And what we do is we don't repeat what you've learned in the life coach training course, life coach certification course. What we do is that we assume excellence and mastery in those areas. What we do is we have a boot camp that gives you 20 additional hours to build upon that foundation. And some of the things that we actually cover during this weekend is what is coaching, what are the 4 lenses of a first-class coach, the steps of a coaching session, building a coaching framework that gets results, focused, effective coaching that cuts out the fluff, how to help your clients maintain motivation. We give you 2 models of coaching, core skills and characteristics for breakthrough coaching, best practices for ethical coaching, how to ask powerful questions, how to build coaching relationships that last, what to include in a coaching agreement. All of those things and a lot more that we cover over the course of Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now listen, this coming weekend is a holiday weekend. Some people were like, Paul, this is a holiday weekend. Why did you do it this weekend? Because there's plenty of people who have no more excuses because they're actually going to be off and they didn't actually already make a bunch of plans. So now your excuses are gone. You can spend the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Sunday night, you can take the exam at the end of it, and you've earned your certification. It is live. It's expanded training that we do not cover in any other course that we do. We have live Q&As at the end of each one of those sessions. There's 7 powerful sessions, and at the end of each one of those sessions, we do a little bit of Q&A to make sure if there's anything that was unclear or anything that you want more information. What we find is that every boot camp is a little bit different, and it's really cool from that perspective. There's live coaching demos that we do. So the live students who are in the boot camp can actually practice with one another, and you can either do it for like a real issue that's coming out of your life, or we can actually give you like role plays so that you can actually role play for everybody who's there. And then I can give you a little bit of feedback and critique on that. You get replays for 90 days. And the interesting thing is as well, is let's say that you can't make it for the entire weekend live. You still have all of the replays that are available on Monday, plus all of the replays from previous boot camps. And then one more thing that we're getting ready to change is that you can also audit a future boot camp as well. So if you've been in a boot camp and you want to get a refresher or just get immersed, because what I've learned in coaching is that coaching is more caught than taught. And so sometimes going back and getting immersed in it again without having to pay for it is an amazing opportunity. The cost is only $247. I mean, are you kidding me? $247 for all of this training, and it also includes all the other things that go along with it, which is your certificate, your certification. Also, you get, if you're listing on lifecoachmatch.com, it's our online directory. It's normally $75 a year. You get that for free. And you also get access to the Life Coach certification course. For those of you who are alumni that have never done boot camp, I'm going to encourage you to do it because it's only $95 for alumni. And here's the cool thing, is that if you get boot camp out of the way, you've knocked out your prerequisite to be able to earn your certified professional coach certification, which is our new certification that we launched last year, but we only offer that like 3 times a year. So anyway, I'm going to highly encourage you. There's a link inside the description on the YouTube video and on Facebook. You can click over there. You can get enrolled today. You can join us on Friday night. Now I see if I can say hello to everybody. You want to say hello to me? Anybody want to say hello as you're in the room that you might not have? Aaron says, I can't afford not to do it. Exactly. Thank you so much for that. Here's Stephanie from San Diego. Hey, Stephanie, welcome. Aaron says, I am ready for this boot camp. I think you are. I'll tell you one thing. Aaron's kind of like emerged out of the last like couple of months, and we're getting to know Aaron right now. I so appreciate Aaron's hunger and his passion, and he's going to absolutely crush it in the niche that he's chosen, because I don't know anybody who's doing what he's getting ready to do, which is amazing. So thanks so much for your passion, Aaron. Anybody else want to say hello or to ask any questions while you're in? Do me a huge favor. For those of you who are still in the room, please like this post and share it. Again, that's all I'm asking at the very minimum, that you tell Facebook and YouTube we're doing a good job by doing that for us. Joanna says, I did it, very worth it. Hey, Joanna, I literally, our team pulled down your testimonial that you sent the other day. And so know this, is that you have a free book coming your way. Appreciate that. It's a great testimonial from Joanna. She's great on camera. So you'll probably see her testimonial before the end of the week. I think we're going to like process it and get it out there so you can get to know her and what she experienced during boot camp. Anybody else that wants to say hello to us before we head out of here? Awesome. All right, everyone. Well, listen, one more time. You get enrolled today, and I will see you on Friday. And listen, I appreciate you as always. It's a highlight of my life every week to get to connect with you guys and to pour into your life. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak into your life. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and take care.
This weekend has been fantastic. A tremendous amount of information, hearing it live, getting to see it, getting role-playing is what's going on behind me right now in one of the rooms. So we're actually getting a chance to put into practice the skills we're learning as we go along. Fantastic content, very well delivered. I just can't say enough good stuff about it, at a super affordable price. Fantastic, and I so much appreciate you making this available to people who want to take advantage of the opportunity to get certified so they can help more people using the fantastic vehicle of being a life coach. Thanks so much for doing this, Paul.